They told us midlife means decline, it means decrepitness, it means complaining, it means you are not valuable, it means you are invisible, it means that you're just not that important unless you look a certain way, unless you fix your face, and unless you're really thin, unless you're absolutely incredibly rich. They tell us to quiet down and fade away. And I say no way. Midlife is not a decline. It is the beginning of the most powerful, it actually is the beginning of the most powerful chapter of your life if you choose. And I finally decided that this space and the podcast Let's Talk and this community that I've been building, that we've been building at Let's Talk with Coach Che Marville, because I know what it feels like to stand at the edge of yourself when your body is shifting, when grief reshapes you, when your career and your relationships are different or have faded. I've been there. I've discovered some things that I need to share with you, some things that are about repositioning perimenopause, not as only this neurological, biological, physiological transformation that nobody talks about, that takes 3, 5, 7, 10 years to occur for some of us, but that it is a spiritual revolution internally, that it is a remaking of who we are, that it is a invitation to the next part of our lives. And most of us have been conditioned to believe that at 30 you're old, at 40 you're just over the hill, at 50, well, we don't want to hear from you, which is so bizarre. And for me, I am a coach, a meditation and transformational teacher, a podcast producer, writer, creator, and for over 2 decades, I have taught actually 50,000 people how to reset their bodies and their minds and love themselves and be kind to themselves and breathe and accept who they are, and to understand that resilience is not something that you wish for, it's something that you earn. I've worked in yoga studios, corporate boardrooms, community spaces, ORs. I actually was part of a team that actually transformed an old operating series of rooms into a yoga and wellness center where we could work with doctors, nurses, and allied health workers, pharmacists, and social workers, and create a space of relief for them. I created a program, oh my goodness, in 2008 called Taking It to the Floor, and that was all about taking yoga and meditation and deep breathing to nursing units and encouraging nurses to look after their health for 12 minutes. And that for 12 minutes, for 6 weeks, if you focus on your breathing and you focus on some movement and you have a few minutes of rest and conscious breathing and loving yourself, even if you don't know what that means, just practicing words of affirmation and kindness, that it reduces your stress, it reduces your anxiety, and there is something bigger that happens when you do it as a community. You learn to trust yourself and each other. You learn that your life is a force and has power. And you change because you've acknowledged that your breath and your force that's inside of you has value. And the idea that because you get older and because you're over 50, that means that you are less makes no sense to me. Because the truth is, reinvention doesn't have a single address. It's happening to us all through our life if we choose to decide that our life is worthy of transformation and investment. And that our job is to continually claim our lives and the power of our lives. That's what I realized. And I don't know where you are, and I don't know where you are in your life, and I don't know what you are experiencing. But if you are in a place where you feel like your age and where you are in your life, whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, means that you are less valuable, then you're in the right place. You're in the right place because as long as you are living, there is more right with you than wrong. Do you understand that? As long as you are living, you have a chance to make a new life. It's just that most of us have been conditioned to believe that somehow life is for only the young. And the weird thing is that when you're young, people tell you don't know anything. And then you get older and people think, or they say that your life doesn't have value because somehow being older is this terrible thing because you change, your skin changes and your body changes. And believe you me, I get it. What I look like is so different from what I used to look like, but what I feel like is so much better than I've ever felt. And once I understood that and I shared that with the students and clients and employees that I was working with in corporate boardrooms and in schools, once I knew that and once I saw it changing in people and changing their lives, I had to share it with more people. And so we're in the 5th year of Let's Talk, and we started off as a place of, conversations that were random during the pandemic, that were about well-being and leadership and about yoga studios and blockchain. And there was only one conversation about blockchain, actually. And being an entrepreneur and falling in love and healing. Once I explored all those ideas, I realized that there was a place for me to reinvent myself and grow into something new. Like many of you, I hit the wall at midlife. About 5 years ago, it seemed when the pandemic hit, perimenopause hit, and it hit hard. And during that time, in the beginning, in those early days, there were symptoms and sleepless nights and crushing fatigue. And for me, it wasn't hot flashes. It was anxiety. It was a sense of doom and gloom and fear. And then came the pandemic, and then came a huge job loss, and then came the big one. The big one was the loss of my mom to COVID. She got COVID and 18 days later died. And she was vibrant and alive and full of, I'm wearing a pair of earrings that she gave me that I never thought were very nice when she gave it to me. And now I think they're the most gorgeous things in the world. I found myself standing in a place that I never imagined. Uncertainty, grieving that was relentless, perimenopause symptoms that I had never heard of. And what I realized was that the answer wasn't outside, that I was being given an invitation to remake my life, to transform my life, to remake where I worked and who I worked with and who I loved and who loved me and the kind of mother I was and the kind of wife I was and the kind of woman I wanted to be. And that perimenopause and midlife wasn't a death, it was a rebirth. And I'd like this space here on YouTube, which I've resisted for so long, to become a place where we breathe together, we meditate together, we share ideas together. I want to inspire you to build a new life. I want to encourage you to think about your health as a regenerating system, to think about midlife over 38, over 40, over 50, over 60 as the beginning of something new, as a neurological, biological, physiological, spiritual revolution that's internal. And that when you love yourself, you can love others. That your body requires strength in midlife. Not only does it require resting. And that even though the world is going, well, it seems like it's going crazy just because we know more about each other than we ever did before, I think we actually are better. I think the data actually says we're better. I know that that's a controversial thing to say because it doesn't seem like we're better. It seems like we're getting worse. But the reality is, the truth is, the data is, there are things that are making us think we are worse than we are, and there are ways for us to be better. And I would love for this space and this podcast, Let's Talk, and this community to grow into helping and supporting and loving each other in being better human beings, in being better to one another, into caring and building communities of well-being, of kindness, of compassion, of love, of friendship, and of healing. So hopefully I'm going to post this because I'm going to feel embarrassed and not post it. I don't know why. There's something about YouTube that's different for me. But if you can, subscribe. Tell me what you're interested in talking about. Subscribe to my podcast, Let's Talk. And let's create a revolution of love. Because love is not a thing. It's not an idea. It is a practice. And it begins in here. And it requires discipline. And it changes us every day. It's not a one-time thing. So until next time, for now, I can't wait for you to join me on Let's Talk. My name is Coach Che Marville, and I want you to join my community. Yes? Yes.